And we are on air, according to my DJ console. Okay, I'm getting the hang of this. So today we're going to have a bit of fun. Opening the show with Heiko Sunfire singing his own creation called Christ is Back. This will be the first song played throughout all of the world. Once Benedict is free, the announcement has been made public, and Heiko will finally be famous.
And Heiko is a German.
Yes, Heiko is German. So it really is Germany's century, with Hitler, a good man, being made out to be the demon when he was a saint, a good man. He was not responsible for any atrocities that the SS under him may have committed. He was, if he'd won the war, then we wouldn't be in the situation we are today. The Jews would have been absolutely contained. So here we go with, it's 9 minutes of Heiko Sunfire, but it's awesome. Fiji knows this, they love it. Okay. I've got the cheering crowd studio go. Oh, it's finished. All right. When I hit the cheering crowd, I can't actually hear it, so I can only tell when the red button is no longer red, that it's stopped. So that was Heiko and his reggae. I talk about a reggae man. We think he's what's his name?
Very clever.
Very clever.
Mr. Very Clever.
Mr. Very Clever. Oh, and I know he's been having a hard time, being rejected all over the place, as all the saints are. But hey, you're in good company. Now, what's happening down at Nehemiah?
Oh, that's very interesting. I'm going to upload a YouTube for you to look at. What appears to be happening is that there are 2 light sources at least, and we have the almost full moon going over.
Right.
And we are watching that. But what happens first thing in the morning about 8 o'clock, we get a bright light, and it is not the colour of the sun. Right. You can tell the difference as it goes through the video. But it starts off with a very bright light, and the angle it's coming at we get determined by the shadows on the snow and on the building. So it appears that this happens in the morning, and it also happens late as the sun is setting. So what happens in the morning, at least, I'll talk about that first. You get about 30 minutes of this light, and then it goes dark.
Right.
Then the camera is set to record colour when it senses colour. And it only senses colour with the spectrum of the sun. So the white light that's coming down is not picked up by the camera until the sun shines about 40 minutes later. But just before sunrise it goes very, very dark again as this object, whatever it is dropping below the horizon suddenly. So it means that it's close to the earth. When it happens very quickly, it's like switching the light off. Because it's so close to the Earth's surface that it indicates that it is rotating around the Earth, and the Earth, of course, is rotating around the Sun. So therefore you've got your normal hours of sunlight. When you consider that the Sun itself is overhead for about 8 hours, then you add the light of the whatever it is, and also we've got the halfway through the day, you got the moon come up over the building. Now, in Antarctica, if you was observing the moon, it should go around the horizon and not rise above the horizon dramatically, and it is. It's rising at quite a sharp angle, indicating that the axis of the Earth is way off, because we're in the South Pole. So normally at this time of year, if you see the moon at all, it should be just skimming the horizon around for at least 12 hours. But as it's happening, it's rising from behind the building, coming up at a sharp angle, and then we've got about 2 hours of photographing the moon as it's going across the sky. And then when we hit in the afternoon, it starts to go dark again, and it appears that they have walked out and placed a black rag over the lens, because all of a sudden it's total darkness. And later on they must take it off again, and we're looking at normally about 8 o'clock the lights are on in the building, but there's no lights. So they've got the lights off, they're observing something, because that's what happens when you do photography at night. You want to take the best possible photographs with your cameras and a telescope, and this is on top of the building down there. And what they've done is they've turned all the lights off, so you've got no reflection off the stove, no nothing. And this is about 2 to 3 hours that they're observing whatever they're able to catch. So there's something else in the distance, and it's obviously high enough in the sky, and then to rotate back again and down around the Earth and come back again. So it may be only as little as a 10-hour orbit, whatever it is. And then we get light again, and then they turn off all the lights again, and then they place something black over the screen, and you can see two lights coming through the right-hand side of the screen.
You mean through the fabric?
Through the fabric, where there's two lights, two dim lights really. And then you see, as it gets later, approaching moonrise, sunrise, or whatever the hell it is. It's not moonrise, I shouldn't say moonrise. This other planet rise. Then it gets bright again, and they switch the lights back on. So they've taken the piece of cloth away just before this bright light in the morning, and you can see the two lights that were shining through the cloth is now, with the cloth removed, you can see the two lights, and then half hour later they switch all the lights on in the observatory itself. And then you have the white light. Then the camera changes it to the colour mode as the sunrise starts to occur in a different position, and then you've got the sunlight coming up. So it goes white light for about an hour, and then maybe less, half an hour, and then it goes completely black again. So it's dipped below the horizon quickly. That's the whole point, it's quick. Usually if it was something in like the Earth rotating and the light that's travelling across, whether it be the moon or not, it should be a light that fades over time or gets brighter over time. But this doesn't. It's like switching a lamp on. It's that quick. So if it's a 10-hour orbit, I'd say probably around a 10-hour orbit, maybe a 12-hour orbit, but it's very, very fast. So we certainly have something down there to give two lights throughout the day, first thing in the morning and late in the evening. And then we also have, during the day, we have the moon go across just before about 3 o'clock local time, and then it gets dark again. Then it gets bright again, then it gets dark again. Very, very odd. I pointed out in the video how you can tell the direction of the light, where it's coming from. You can tell that by the shadows. Now, the sunlight is predictable, and it will shine on the end of the building, and then throughout the day it's moving across the sky because the Earth's rotating, and the shadow then starts to retract along the side of the building. Now, they haven't done this purposefully, but it would appear that the end of the building is slightly wider than the main body of the building, which casts a shadow. It's very convenient for when we're doing observation from camera. So it's something, as I say, they haven't done purposely. It's just how the building is built. And it was built in sections, right? So it was all fabricated and brought down there and lifted into position by crane. So the fabricated part on the end is slightly wider than the main body of the building. So therefore it casts a shadow down the side of the building, right? So we can then tell as the sunrise is occurring, and then also when this light is occurring. Now at one stage there, the light is coming up on the end of the building, and it's white light. Then the yellow light comes up from the sun. Later on, as we get through the day, we have a white light shining on the building from another position. So that means it's skimming across the Earth, probably at a very steep angle, and gives you an indication that it's not caused by the Earth's rotation, it's caused by the orbit of this planet or moon or whatever it is. It's not the Earth moon, certainly not, but it could be a moon or a planet of Nibiru, and it's picking up light from Nibiru, not picking light because it would be a different colour. And this is the whole point. So it's very interesting when you go through it slowly. I've talked my way through it, we've gone through it twice to 3 times. So I think you'll get a fair handle on what's going on down there. And this is what all this mayhem and murder and attacking of Palestine and the Ukraine, that's what it's all about. They're in for the very last moments to sacrifice as many human beings. That is the enemy of Lucifer and the enemy of the Jews. They're trying to do it as much as possible. They're trying to start World War III. They're trying to kill as many people as possible because they know they are doomed, that the angels are coming back. They know all about it. And I'd recommend that you look up on the internet and look at a few videos done by Jonathan Gray. He's an Australian fellow, and he has a video or a book out you can buy online for about $35 to $50 odd, It's got 969 ancient monuments that are impossible to have been built by human beings. Meaning what I've been saying all along. The angel set all this up, and then the flood occurred. Now we've been to Egypt, we've looked at the Sphinx. The Sphinx body is a poor limestone, and it's all been washed away by the flood. That when the waters hit, it washed around the Sphinx and took away a great deal of material. And of course the head is made of a piece of granite, which was the rejected capstone. I've done all the math on that, and that really is another study. But take my word for it there that the head of the Sphinx has been reshaped from the pyramid shape that was originally to be placed on top of the pyramid. So look at it logically. When you build a pyramid, you come to the summit platform, which is about 49 feet square, and then you have this 1,700-ton piece of material shaped in the same shape as the pyramid arrive 454 feet in the air, and it's too big. So they then move it, and we do it with the diameter of the pyramid determines the diagonal of the pyramid, which is 1077.2.6 feet, and with that used as a center point, so you're measuring out from the center of the pyramid into the desert area, from the first pyramid, the main pyramid, and then the secondary pyramid, that gives you a circle point that is 1077.26 feet from both centers of both pyramids. Therefore, you draw a line in a circle, you go around 105 degrees, and that is where the head of the Sphinx is. So it's then looking towards Leo, right? So the precession of the equinox, the angle of the earth, the tilt of the earth, can determine when it was built. And we're talking 2 orbits of Nibiru back in time. So it's around 7,500 years ago that the pyramid was built, and then the flood came after that. So this is all different studies. I can go on for hours about this kind of thing and how it fits perfectly mathematically, and in line with the stars and in line with the axis of the earth and the precession of the equinox. And if you have any doubts on that, send me a message, and I'll any particular point, and I'll explain it in a video, or I'll explain it on the air if I can. But videos are much more explicit because a picture is 1,000 words, right? So now, just to add to that, the diagonal of the pyramid with its full size is 1077.26 feet, and that's the age difference between the beheading of Charles I and my birth. Very significant. It's also the distance in miles between the house that I inherited, which we took the money to New Guinea and we introduced a cure for the diseases up there. The difference in distance between the 7 Travone Street, Padstow in Sydney, where I inherited the house, to 7 Travone Road, Padstow in Cornwall, is where the family of Jesus came from. Mary came from there with Joseph of Arimathea. So that distance is 1077.2.6 miles. Right there, you shouldn't have to go any further. That proves absolutely who I am, because it's in creation. However, I can go on for days and days and days and thousands of drawings. I've got about 30,000 drawings now.
Now, a lot of them are up on the net. I'll get Joel to put the link in the description, because they were asked, where can we go to learn what it is that you do? The fundamentals of it are that God measures his temple. The temple is the earth. His altar is the pyramid of Egypt, Giza. Now,
it was built where God isn't. That's what the idea of Egypt is. God's not there today.
No, that's for sure.
You know, what I'm amazed at Muslims are so stupid, it's quite amazing. The things that we've observed when we were there are just pathetic. They are worse than children. But what the Muslims don't realise is that they are practising a Quran that was written by the Jews. They even get circumcised.
Yes.
I mean, it's so fantastic. This is totally Jewish. So we will put links up possibly today or the day after.
Well, I'll get them from Joel, the links to where the drawings are. They're in a Dropbox, I think, he's got on the site with all of the drawings that you've done over time. A lot of them, not all of them. I think we had an hour scrolling video, just one slide after the other was about 1,000 alone.
Since that has gone up, I've done several hundred
Yes.
more videos, or rather pictures, and we will get around to putting them all in together, but the important thing is to realise that the Jews know who I am. The church knows who I am. All the politicians in America and Australia have been notified. All of the leaders of the world have been notified, and they're all in the same club. They're all Zionists, and they are led by the wallet.
Their God is money. Now, just to reinforce that, I'll read an email that came in last night from a man.
By the way, I've got to book the Rolls Royce in for a service, do you?
Oh.
Oh no, it's not a Rolls Royce, it's a Rolls Canardly.
Rolls can hardly.
You know what a Rolls Canardly is?
Can hardly move.
No. Rolls down one side of a hill and can hardly get up the other.
Oh, right, okay. Rolls anyway, just the experience of this lovely man who has found us recently wrote to us, and he just said, in 2012, December, I woke up one morning knowing in my being something happened or arrived on the earth. I could feel it. Everything you say resonates with me, especially that demonic race that claims to be the oppressed minority calling themselves Jews. They have tried to lure me into their family, showing me the wealth they possess and what I would have once I joined their family. After I saw what they do to the people, in brackets non-Jews, in front of them, as if magic, through a monolithic demonic network that I cannot describe, I rejected them. All I can say is angels assisted me when I rejected them, their money, and what they do to people. And he goes on to say, the Go Lightly Hour has given me much more truth than over the past 4 years of internet media I have watched, especially that treasure, the Kolbrin, you have brought to everyone's attention, amongst many other important information that shows we are not alone. So, one man's experience... What?
The Kolbrin.
Oh.
It's all made up, isn't it?
Well,
I did it 2,000 years ago. The point is I didn't make it up.
It's the basis of wisdom. It's the foundation. That's the point. It was taken. It's the word of God that was taken after you had left the earth back to Britain, to the lost ship, to Israel, who were the Celts. They were already in Britain, and there were those that received it and lived by it.
spoken while I was in Glastonbury.
Yes, and then from there it became the foundation that was built upon down through generations, and those who followed, those who obeyed,
Right.
and passed on their own, adding to the foundation, which is the way, the truth, and the life. Now let's get back to I'm back to the console now. I want to do some now. What word would you use to describe Netanyahu?
Bastard!
Well, he's been called a rabid dog by not only us, but many people on the planet.
A rabid dog really is just a dog that's insane, right?
Totally, it needs to be shot.
A human being's much worse than that. They make a decision to be mad.
Yes. Now, whether there's any validity to his psychiatrist of 9 years having suicided, hopeless
I'd be more
case.
inclined to think they didn't suicide, that they killed him.
Could have been, yes, absolutely.
These people kill at the drop of a hat.
Yes, they do.
They think that you are less than an animal.
Now, with that, I want to come in with a sound effect that we won't be able to hear, but it's 10 seconds, so I'm going to hit the... the red light goes off, I know it's finished. So the people could be hearing dogs barking. Okay. We'll know in the playback.
Through it.
I know, but that adds to the confusion of it all. Does it?
Confusion.
Do we want to hear some kids cheering? It's about time we heard kids cheering. It's only 4 seconds. Here we go.
I'm here for the children.
Okay. And how about a couple of hellos? Or 3 of them to be exact.
Hello. Hello.
Okay. Now,
Well, the whole point is, when it says, I'm here for the children, you have to become like a small child. See, from an intellectual point of view, people who become mature get locked in their own silliness by being influenced by the money or the church environment or family or whatever. And a baby, on the other hand, is ripe to be influenced by righteousness or by the evil of the West, and in particular the Jews. That's your problem, right? You got your music, you got your movies, you got everything else. Gambling. Look at Australia. Gambling in Australia is worse than Las Vegas. Las Vegas, you've got to go there to do it.
Yes.
Here, you walk down the street and there's a bloody club you can walk into and they fleece you. My sister has lost $600,000 or $700,000. Right? She is totally obsessed with playing on what we call the slots over here, as the poker machines. I like to think of it as a slut playing the slots. That's my sister, right? And she is.
it's Victoria though, isn't it, that they have them in shops everywhere? Like on the street shops, cafes and shops. Is that Victoria?
You can walk into, well, it's just like in New Guinea really, you walk into a pub, you walk into a shop, and you can have the computerised games that you sit there in the little room and lose all your money.
Yes. And how many old ladies have lost their houses?
Very, very many.
Peter was
now what
telling
happens
us.
with old ladies, the husband dies, they inherit the house, and then there's a banking situation where you can mortgage your house, if you own it outright in particular, and they will give you cash up front. And it's paid for when you die.
Yes.
So they get the house. Right? Now, how the fiat money system works, they give, let's say a little old lady gets 50 grand, right? And then she blows that and she goes and gets another 50 grand. She blows that. But each time she gets 50 grand, it goes into a bank account. In the bank can then loan, right, 9 times. So if she puts $1 in, they can loan $9 because it's fiat money. It's invented. And the money is borrowed by the nation from the Federal Reserve Bank in America, which is the same thing in Australia. Right? It all comes through the same fiat system, fiat money system. So it's like the CIA dominates Australia through Asia. Now the Jews dominate Asia. The head of Asia is a Jewish name. Hello.
Another David Irvine.
Right. So it is the strangest thing of all time that people here, and Australians are actually an intelligent race of people, but they are totally seduced by the mateship, right? By the pub environment. Go and stand at the bar and have a drink with Clayton, so to speak. Then you've got the football, the soccer clubs, the rugby league clubs, the Australian rural clubs in Melbourne, and these are huge gambling casinos that you go in with all your buddies after a game and you get pissed and you gamble. Well,
but the worst club of all for gambling is the Catholic club.
The Catholic club is atrocious, yes. When I first went to the Catholic club in Sydney, I expected the Pope to go past on a pair of gold roller skates. That's how much money is involved, right? Now, there was a little old lady can go in there, her husband's dead, right? She can go in there and buy a meal for $1 and then spend $100 before she gets out the joint. So you go in there, they lure you in with a cheap meal, right? So, we eat there for nothing, blah, 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 blah. And then go and spend $30, $40, $50, $100. on the pokies because the lady is depressed. Her husband's dead.
Oh, she's lonely. There's nothing.
She's
What
lonely.
else does she do?
Nothing else to do. So she's old, got arthritis, whatever, and she gets a bit of pleasure by sitting there in front of a poker machine that is designed to be hypnotic. They've got the music that goes along with it, and all gay music, and you've won, you've won, you've won. It is a complete and utter abomination.
Well, it's another form of hypnotism. as
Now,
the
my
TVs.
first job as a child, I was 14 years old when I left school, and my first job, or second job I should say, was at Ainsworth Consolidated, which are the big manufacturers of slot machines in Australia. Jewish. Ainsworth. Right? At that time, they was exporting machines to England and America. America didn't really take off into the gambling industry like Australia did. There was more slot machines in Australia than England and the US combined. So that's how bad it was. Right? Now, the politicians here in Australia, you think they're evil in America? That's nothing. They don't have mafia in Australia because they're not tough enough, not evil enough. Right? And I remember as a child they had police that one guy was called Bumper Farrell. Why? Because they'd target someone who thought wasn't one of them and they'd go and shoot him. And they called him Bumper, because you'd bump him off. Right? Matter of fact, a friend of mine bought an old Hudson car and in it all this brains had been splattered across the top of this inside of the car, and he thought, this is great, right, look at that. Huh? He's only 17-year-old, he thought it was great. Bumper Farrell had killed this guy in the car, walked up and shot him in the head, blew his brains out. That's the kind of bastards that existed then. Now, I know this to be a fact because they killed my nephew.
Yes.
Tried to kill me, couldn't do it, but they got him because he wasn't a believer. As soon as you don't believe in me, you're in a very, very grievous problem. Believe, you'll be protected.
Which brings us to Ebola. It seems to be spreading. Adam's done some research and there are reports coming in as much as there's so much distraction going on in the world, and everything that comes out sometimes are written off too quickly because of the deliberate hoaxes and things that go up. However, Jim Stone has posted on his forum, because it was sent to him, doctors' reports. The protection is vitamin C, massive amounts of vitamin C. What I read last night, and again I'll put the link in the description, is as Adam had already done the research, this Ebola has been weaponised. Its incubation is between 2 and 21 days, apparently much longer than when it naturally occurs. And it is like a scurvy. What scurvy does is it depletes the body slowly of vitamin C, and vitamin C is essential for blood clotting, etc. So this virus completely strips very quickly the body of vitamin C, and so the bleeding occurs hemorrhagically and you're dead within a very short period of time. So the antidote to it is vitamin C. Jim Stone explains why, as good as colloidal silver is for a lot of things, it will not contain this particular Ebola virus that has been weaponised. And as it turns out, apparently the mainstream is pushing colloidal silver. Well, whenever mainstream pushes something, you know that that's not the direction to go in. But a doctor has written in explaining vitamin C, massive amounts of it. Everybody needs vitamin C, and specifically in these nations that are already starving, they don't have sufficient daily intake of vitamin C. They're starving already, so yes, of course, it's going to work very fast in those nations. And then Codex Alimentarius, that has listed vitamins as poisons and released poisons back onto the acceptable food chain. The complete reversal, as the Jews do. So check it out. I'll send the links there. It's worth noting and being careful. And in truth, the greatest protection really is knowing the Christ. He's your vitamin C. But not being silly, making sure that your body is healthy and strong. It is all about a strong immune system and having plenty of vitamin C. And the way it's being treated when people do come down in massive intravenous injections of vitamin C until it is contained, because that is your blood clotting. Do the research. Broccoli, for example, very high in vitamin C. Other yarrow is another one that is called styptic. Any styptic herb will cause a blood clot. So be aware, it is out there, it is happening. Apparently a lot of the workers that have been trying to contain what has been called an attack through the White House, it has twice been referred to as an attack, slip of the tongue maybe, but it's there in the original transcripts. The workers that have been associated with its release, they've been evicted from Nigeria. A lot of people are dead, who knows what's going on, and apparently it leads back to the death of, I think his name was Richard Rockefeller, the son of David D. Rockefeller, one of the devils on the earth. He was the founder of Doctors Without Borders. His plane crashed about 8 weeks ago and he was killed. And apparently a lot of others are dead too who know anything about the origins of this virus, but it is weaponized. You can thank the USA and Israel, the same devils. And remembering that behind, at the top of the heap, the high priest of it all is a Rothschild. So you can bet your bottom dollar they're all got masses of vitamin C, etc., etc. Now, borax is really important as well. I had an inquiry from England about a follower, and her son is beginning to develop breasts, and he's only 12. Now, this is common. If you do the research and just Google search boys growing breasts, what can I do? It's common. It is a hormone imbalance. The imbalance is too much estrogen, which is your female hormone, and not enough testosterone, which is your male hormone. These are sexual development hormones. The borax will help to balance the hormones of the endocrine system, and that's what system these all belong to. So, as we stated last week, borax powder, it was suggested just even with the borax powder, Dr. Newman, who worked with it for so long in Western Australia before he was shut down, because he was having great success with all kinds of diseases, but in particular osteoporosis, rheumatoid arthritis, etc. Boron, which is in the borax powder, is essential for the uptake and bioavailability of calcium and magnesium. If your body does not get enough magnesium, for example, then it will take calcium from your bones, because magnesium is totally necessary for the production of calcium and the protection of it. So borax powder, again, if you cannot get the powder from your supermarket, as we have been able to, I didn't find it in the supermarket, I found it at Bunnings in Australia, but apparently in the UK you can still get the boron tablets. This is what Dr. Newman ended up making himself, boron tablets, and that's what was outlawed. But the borax powder, the simplest way to take it, he says, is to wet the finger with your saliva, dip it into the powder, and then just straight onto the tongue, swallow it. Do that a couple of times a day, or many times a day. They say it's as toxic as table salt, and you need about 60 grams of table salt before that does you any, and that's a lot of table salt. So by the doctor saying, well, you've got a skin cancer. He prescribed her Aldara, and it almost killed her. And it has killed many people around the world, she found out when she uploaded her experience onto the internet, and then people began writing in. The safe alternative to getting rid of skin cancers, lesions, any kind of tumour within the body is black salve, which of course has been banned in Australia, so effective was it. But Elaine tells what the ingredients are to make your own. We've made our own here. Joel's removed what turned out to be quite a large and deep cancerous tumour underneath his skin, his leg. You've seen the photographs on his now deleted Facebook. I've removed several bits and pieces, and it has removed a Ewing sarcoma. Some of the photographs of people have photographed what it is that they've been able to cure, get rid of. What it does is that zinc chloride is the active ingredient that goes down deep, follows the root of the cancer to its very end, no matter how far that is in your body, far away it is from the primary site. And it draws it back out. It kills the cancerous cells, and then the effect is called esclerotic, as it draws it all back up out through the primary site. And so you can end up with this god-awful, ugly mass coming out, but it's great when it heals over and it's out and no longer in you. So that's a little bit of... now, there was something else that...
Well, we have this new scanner on the phone.
Yes.
So what you do with that, you go into your
this is the Bicot,
supermarkets or anywhere.
The Bicot that I uploaded on the Facebook.
And it works absolutely marvellously. It's in your smartphone, of course. And it will tell you who owns the corporation and whether it's got GMO in it, and whether or not it's linked to...
This is specifically to boy
And then,
And not include Enoch,
not including Enoch, the most important book.
which you actually referred to as Jesus too. You
Right.
referred to Enoch.
Now, you'll find that a lot of the work in the Gospels are a plagiarisation of the Essene work, which is only resurfaced due to the internet. And scholars that have been working on it for years had no way of ever selling a book about it because that's outside of the Jewish censorship. So, with the internet, it has become known that the Essenes, which is the oldest religion, because Enoch was an Essene, Isaiah was an Essene. The oldest book of the Bible is So Martin Luther kicked it off, but because he was German, and Germany is a very large country, he was protected by the barons. And they tried to hunt him down and kill him, but they couldn't get him. From his translations, it was then taken to England and the New Testament. Now, even Henry VIII read it, and he was quite angels ascending and descending on Jacob's ladder, is what they're called. And the angels he's referring to were the kings. Right? So it's all about royal family, the kings of Judah. Judah is not Jews, it's a tribe. And the tribe split, and the main branch of Judah ended up in Ireland around the 1521 BC. Right? So what happened from that point onwards, they awaited the coming of the royal line that come out of the descendants of Zedekiah when Babylon under Nebuchadnezzar in 586 BC attacked and defeated Jerusalem by laying siege to it. And Jeremiah took the daughters of the king because the Chaldean king Nebuchadnezzar did not believe that Israel could be descended into females, because he being a Chaldean didn't regard females having any rights whatsoever. By the time he was 21, as King James VI of Scotland, her son, she was beheaded, and he begged Elizabeth not to behead his mother because she was, in fact, her cousin. But she signed a death warrant anyhow.
As Elizabeth does today for these poor souls on remote islands, all part of her Commonwealth. She signs their death warrants.
Every week she signs. About 160 people are killed around the world through executions that she signs for. She's a lovely lady, really. So we have then Edward de Vere, who was William Shakespeare. He was his pen name was William Shakespeare because the Puritans at the time, he wasn't allowed to sing, dance or smile. That's how stupid these people were in England. Right? So he set up the theatre and had his plays produced, and under the pen name of William Shakespeare. Right. By these demonic people. So the whole Bible is based on the word they use for Jesus, certain, as a code because the wise men of the time and most educated people in England was William Shakespeare and King James the First of England, who was James the Sixth of Scotland. So now, once the codes were in, they couldn't change it.
Now, when we're talking about a code, we're talking about the number codes.
Well, we'll give you an example. There's 8674 words in the Old Testament.
Yes.
So if you say, all right, what is 8674? Call it years.
8.674 years
It's easiest, Gives you 3168.
Days.
And 3168, and they all, as I said, even Francis Bacon was a head numerologist in England. He didn't get it, right? But William Shakespeare and the King knew that if you take the 8674 words and call it years, it will. Some advice on that. You've got to get the 1611 King James Bible. It is on the internet. However, when you get the Strong's Concordance, they've added numbers to it. So if you was to go into the Blue Letter Bible, it has got the Strong's numbers in it, but they've added substantially to it. So you haven't got the A674 no more. Now in the New Testament, there's 5624 words. So you subtract the 5624 from the A674 and it gives you 3050, which is the word jar. And what's it telling you? The jar is not in the New Testament.
Yes, they've removed
They've taken it out.
Yeah. The difference is...
So you would think that if the words of the New Testament is off three, and in Romeo and Juliet, wherefore art thou, Romeo? You go to, I think it's the third act, and there's two men talking, and one says, he curses, and he says, Jeshu Maria, like you say, Jesus bloody Christ today. Right? Jesu Maria is the name of Jesus in the Essenes.
That's right. So
Right.
that was the code there. Hello, Jesus
That's
was
the
an
code.
Essene.
Jesus was an Essene. That's how it all comes to part. But the king knew, and William Shakespeare knew, that we're talking geniuses here, put it in. The smartest men in England at the time. Right? They all spoke all the European languages. Right? And they knew that the Essenes had been written out. But they also had the information that the Essenes should be in there, so they're going to put it in there, and they did. Right?
And by the time he got the manuscript back, they were rushing to get it to print, so the counter-coding wasn't discovered until a very long time later.
Get the back in, it goes in backwards, the same way as it went out. And it went through the outside of the Shroud of Turin, and the marking is on the outside of the shroud, not on the shroud part against
So
the
they
body.
are misreading it. They're
So
looking at the
therefore
wrong
it's
side.
backwards. That's why the spear is on the left. But they have it on the right. In all churches, Catholic churches, you see Jesus hanging on the cross, he's speared on the right.
Which doesn't make sense because everything is
Stupid, your heart's on the left.
That's right.
So this is what it's all about. This is to make it as difficult as possible for these bastards to read it. But the soul is now warned when Jesus comes back, the Lord today, referring to Isaiah 63, when the Lord comes back, they can't kill him. Right? What?
Is back on earth.